Good day everyone, especially to you Dr. Ria Kibir. Again, I'm Hannah Brett Alperocho from this HM3A. So in this video, I'm gonna discuss about the chapter 6 that talks about the tourism public sector. We know that the tourism public sector consists of government agencies that regulate, develop, and promote tourism through policies, infrastructure, and support for the industry. So for the learning objectives of this chapter, we have the identify the various government agencies involved in the development and promotion of the tourism industry as well as their functions, and also to describe the relationships of these agencies with one another, and also to explain the possibility of public service as a career in the industry. So for the chapter 6 topic outline, we have the Department of Tourism, Philippine Tourism Authority, Intramuros Administration, National Parks Development Committee or NPDC, National Historical Institute, National Center for Culture and Arts, the Philippines Convention and Visitors Corporation, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, National Economic Development Authority, Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation, Department of Environment and National Resources, Department of Labor and Employment, Department of Public Works and Highways, Department of Transportation and Communication, Department of Trade and Industry, Philippine Economic Zone Authority, Department of Foreign Affairs, Department of Interior and Local Government, Bureau of Food and Drugs, Bureau of Customs, the Philippine Coast Guard, Professional Regulatory Board of Custom Brokers, Nganong Filipino Foundation, and lastly, the Tourism Enterprise Zone Authority. So according to Richard Gordon, a former Secretary of Tourism, the responsibility of government in developing, organizing, promoting its tourism industry is of primary importance to the Philippines. In order for the government to be more effective, partnerships with the private sector need to be fostered and cooperation from the local communities need to be worked out. So for the introduction, in 1973, the Philippine government saw the need to improve trade and tourism efforts, leading to the creation of the Department of Tourism through Presidential Decree No. 189. This law aimed to boost national development by attracting more visitors to appreciate their country's beauty, history, and culture while encouraging Filipinos to take pride in their heritage. So in this chapter will deals with particular government agencies directly involved in the promotion of tourism in our country. Several allied government agency may also be included in this chapter, as these agencies, though not directly involved in the promotion of tourism, tend to provide a substantial contribution to the efficient operation of the tourism industry. The first one is the Department of Tourism. The Department of Tourism, or DOT, was created by virtue of Presidential Decree No. 189. It is the primary policy-making, planning, programming, coordinating, and administrative entity of the executive branch of the government in the development of the tourism industry, both domestic and international. The Department of Tourism, or DOT, is responsible for promoting and developing the tourism industry in the country, while it also used to have the full authority over licensing and regulating tour operators and accommodation facilities. And this power has now been given to the local government units, or LGUs. However, even though LGUs can regulate these businesses, they cannot completely stop them from operating without following proper legal procedures. The term regulate means to control or manage, but it does not mean to ban or suppress businesses entirely. But this ensures that tourism businesses operate within the rules while still having the right to continue their services fairly. So in simple terms, the DOT is the government office that would be responsible for improving, promoting tourism in the Philippines. It makes rules, creates plans, and works with different groups to attract both local and foreign tourists. And this means that before, the DOT directly handled permits and regulation for businesses related to tourism, but now, local government, or LGUs, are in charge of these tasks, and they must also still follow the legal procedures. Even though LGUs can set rules, they cannot completely ban a business without a valid reasons. And the goal is to ensure tourism businesses to follow regulation but can still operate fairly. So here are the DOT, or the Department of Tourism, major functions. The first one is to supervise all activities of the government which concern tourism. because we know that the DOT will oversee all government projects and of efforts that are connected to tourism, and it ensures that tourism offices and agencies work together in order to improve tourism in the country. The next one is the effect the removal of unnecessary barriers to travel, the integration and simplification of travel regulations, as well as their efficient, fair, and courteous enforcement to assure expeditious and hospitable reception of all visitors. So the DOT will also helps make traveling easier by eliminating complicated rules and procedures, and this means that reducing delays at airports, making visa applications smoother, and also ensuring tourists receive warm and efficient service. And the next one is the to formulate an integrated program of promotion and publicity designed to attract and induce people abroad to visit the Philippines, patronize things which are Philippine made, and to enhance the prestige of the Filipino people and the Republic. So the DOT also creates programs and advertisements to encourage foreigners to visit the Philippines. It also promotes Philippine-made products and boosts the country's image internationally. And the next one is review all tourism projects which may involve loans from government financial institution. Before said, institution may take action on them and approve all tourism projects and firms applying for tax incentives under the export incentives may take actions on them. So before tourism businesses can receive financial support from the government, the DOT will check their project in order to ensure they meet these requirements. And this helps prevent misuse of funds and ensures that projects truly benefit the tourism industry. And the next function is to represent the government in all such conferences and meetings concerning tourism and travel and discharge such as responsibilities of the government as may arise from treaties, agreements, and other commitments on tourism and travel to which it is signatory. So the DOT serves as the Philippines' official representative in global tourism discussion, and it will also fulfill the commitment made in international agreements related to travel and tourism. The next one is accredit travel agents, tour operators, and tour guides. So the DOT will also give official approval to travel agencies, tour operators, and also guides to ensure they meet quality standards and provide safe, reliable services to the tourists. And the next function is to classify and accredit hotels, resorts, inns, motels, hotels, restaurants, and other related facilities and services which cater to foreign and domestic tourists, and in addition, formulates suitable standards to ensure that the highest possible standards are met. Reasonable fees and charges are made, and that services are given with honesty, courtesy, and efficiency. And we know that DOT sets standards for hotels, restaurants, and resorts in order to ensure that they provide good service at reasonable prices. Accreditation means these businesses meet quality and safety requirements. And the last function is to perform such DOT will also perform such other functions as may provided by law. Because the DOT may also handle additional responsibilities related to tourism depending on new laws or government directives. So lastly, that we know that DOT or the Department of Tourism is really responsible for growing and improving tourism here in the Philippines, and it makes travel easier, promotes the country globally, ensures quality services, and works with other agencies in order to support tourism-related businesses. And the next one is the Philippine Tourism Authority or the PTA. So that the Philippine Tourism Authority was officially strengthened through the Presidential Decree 564 on October 2, 1974, revising its original charter under Presidential Decree 189 from May 11, 1973. The main purpose of this change was to improve the government manages the tourism-related activities by working more efficiently with private businesses and other government agencies. The PTA plays a major role in developing tourism projects and ensuring that different sectors work together in order to promote tourism in the country. So one of the PTA's biggest sources of income is the travel tax, which is a fee that Filipinos, permanent residents, and certain foreigners must pay when leaving the country. And this tax established under Presidential Decree 1183 and modified by other laws, and it helps fund tourism projects and services. That's why the Bureau of Internal Revenue or BIR is responsible for handling the collection of these tasks. So this means that PTA really helps to build and manage tourism projects, such as resorts, parks, and travel programs, while ensuring the public and private sectors cooperate into promoting tourism. That every time a Filipino or an eligible traveler flies out of the country, they must pay a tax, and this money is used to fund tourism projects and services. Then the government set up these tasks to help improve tourism services, and the BIR is in charge of collecting these payments. So for the Philippine Tourism Authority general powers, we have the first one, to implement policies and programs of the Department of Tourism pertaining to the development, promotion, and supervision of tourism projects in the Philippines. So the PTA ensures that all tourism-related projects follow the policies and plans set by the Department of Tourism. The next one is to promote the development into integrated resort complexes of selected and well-defined geographic areas with potential tourism value, known otherwise as tourist zones. So the PTA identifies areas in the country with great tourism potential, and it helps develop them into major tourist destinations such as resorts and cultural heritage sites. And the next one is to extend all forms of assistance to private enterprise in undertaking tourism projects. So the PTA supports private businesses also, such as hotels and other companies, by providing guidance, financial help, or other necessary resources to improve the tourism. And the next one is to undertake for its own account or in joint venture with the private sector the operation and maintenance of essential tourist facilities, which private enterprise alone is not prepared or willing to undertake. So if private businesses are unwilling or unable to build and run important tourism facilities, the PTA steps in order to manage these projects, and sometimes working with private sectors. The next one is to assure availability of land at reasonable prices or rental rates for private investors in hotels and other tourist facilities. So the PTA also ensures that land is available at fair prices for private investors who want to build hotels, resorts, and other tourism-related facilities. And this encourages investment in the tourism industry. And the last one means that the PTA helps local governments, other government agencies, and private companies coordinate their efforts so that tourism in the Philippines grows in a balanced and efficient way. And this ensures that the country's tourism industry meets the needs of both local and international travelers. That's why we will know that the Philippine Tourism Authority is the one who helps develop tourism here in the Philippines just by working with the government and private businesses. And it also manages tourism zones, supports private tourism projects, and ensures that land and resources are available for tourism development. So also the travel tax is also the key source of funding for these initiatives, helping to promote tourism facilities and services in the country. So the next one is the Intramuros Administration. So the Intramuros Administration is the government agency responsible for restoring, developing, and maintaining Intramuros, the historic walled city in Manila. Intramuros is an important part of the Philippines' history since it was the center of Spanish rule in the country for 400 years. In order to protect and preserve this historical value, the government created the Intramuros Administration through Presidential Decree No. 1616 on April 10, 1979. The Intramuros Administration ensures that buildings and structures inside the Intramuros follow the Spanish-Filipino architectural style from the 16th to 19th centuries, and it also works on projects in order to improve tourism, promote cultural heritage, and educate people about the significance of Intramuros in the Philippine history. So we know that the Intramuros that Intramuros Administration is really the one who is responsible for keeping Intramuros well preserved and ensuring that it maintains its historical significance. Since Intramuros was the heart of Spanish colonial rule, it is a vital heritage site for the country. So aside from restoring old structures, the Intramuros Administration also works on making Intramuros an attractive tourist destination and educating people about its role in Philippine history. Because we know that some businesses have tried to modernize Intramuros by building new structures and increasing commercial activities, which has led to more pollution and even the destruction of some old buildings. However, the Intramuros administration has been strict in enforcing rules to protect the area, especially when citizens and organizations push for stronger preservation efforts. And their goal is to keep Intramuros' historical value while managing development carefully. So we also have here the other government agencies. So the first one is the National Parks Development Committee or NPDC. So NPDC focuses on managing and improving national parks such as Luneta and Quezon Memorial. Originally created in 1963, and it ensures that these parks remain beautiful and accessible to the public. Despite past attempts to transfer its management, NPDC remains under the office of the President. So this means that NPDC takes care of national parks, making sure that they are well maintained and open to the public for recreation and cultural activities. So the second one is the National Historical Institute or NHI. NHI is responsible for preserving historical sites, monuments, and landmarks across the country. This is established in 1972 and it ensures that important places connected to the country's history are well maintained. The NHI also conducts research, commemorates historical events, and manages archives containing valuable relics and memorabilia. Donations made to the NHI are tax-exempt, encouraging public support in preserving Filipino heritage. So this means that this agency works in order to protect and maintain historical significant locations in the country. It also conducts research and organizes celebrations for important historical events. Donations made to the NHI are tax-exempt, encouraging people to support historical preservation. And the third one is the National Commission for Culture and the Arts or NCCA. This is created under Republic Act 7356, promotes and protects Filipino culture and arts. It formulates policies for cultural development, manages funds for artistic projects, and also supports the preservation of the country's rich heritage. The National Museum, which was once part of NCCA, now operates independently under the Office of the President, focusing on preserving artifacts, artworks, and historical items. So the NCCA is in charge of promoting Filipino arts and culture, and it helps artists, supports cultural projects, and protects the current country's heritage. The next one, the fourth one, is the Philippine Convention and Visitors Corporation, also known as PCVC. PCVC is an organization under the Department of Tourism that promotes the Philippines as top destination for conventions, business meetings, and incentive travel. It also provides assistance to event organizers looking for venues and ensures that the country remains a competitive option for international gatherings. So this means that PCVC helps attract international conferences, business meetings, and corporate events to the Philippines, boosting the tourism and businesses sectors. The fifth one is the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP, or the Central Bank of the Philippines. The Central Bank of the Philippines plays a key role in managing the country's financial system. It ensures economic stability, controls inflation, and supports national development. A special function of BSP, authorized in 1974, includes overseeing the Philippine International Convention Center, an important venue for large-scale events. So the BSP is the main agency handling the country's financial stability, and it ensures that money circulation is well managed, preventing inflation and economic issues. And it also oversees the PICC or the Philippine International Convention Center as a major event venue in the country. The last one is the National Economic and Development Authority or the NEDA. NEDA is the primary agency for economic planning in the country. It is led by the President with cabinet members and the central bank governor as a part of its board. So NEDA formulates the long-term strategies to improve the country's economic and social conditions, ensuring growth and stability. So NEDA helps plan economic growth strategies, making sure the country develops in a stable and sustainable way. So let's go to the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation. In the Section 1, Declaration of the Policy, it is hereby declared by the policy of the state to centralize and integrate all games of chance not heretofore authorized by existing franchises or permitted by law in order to attain the following objectives: This is to establish and operate clubs and casinos for amusement and recreation, including sports, gaming pools, and such other forms of amusement and recreation, including games of chance, which may be allowed by law within the territorial jurisdiction of the Philippines, and which will minimize, if not totally eradicate, the evils, malpractices, and corruptions that are normally prevalent in the conduct and operation of gambling clubs and casinos without direct government involvement. So this means that the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation is the government agency that oversees and regulates legal gambling activities such as casinos and sports betting. And it also ensures that gambling is done fairly and prevents illegal activities related to gambling. So the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation operates casinos, gaming pools, and other forms of legal gambling to provide entertainment and generate revenue for the government. It also ensures that gambling is conducted fairly and responsibly while minimizing corruption and illegal activities. The agency is given 25-year authority to operate, which can be extended for another 25 years. This is established in 1983, where PAGCOR remains centralized gaming operations while minimizing illegal gambling practices. So this means that the Philippine Amusement Gaming Corporation will provides the entertainment through legal gambling while helping raise money for government projects. Its role is to regulate casinos and ensure gambling activities are fair and corruption free. So let's go to the Department of Environment and National Resources, also known as DENR. So DENR is the government agency in charge of protecting and managing the environment and natural resources of the Philippines. Its main role is to ensure that the country's forests, minerals, lands, and water resources are used responsibly so that future generations can also benefit from them. The DENR creates policies, implements environmental laws, and supervises programs that focus on conservation, sustainable development, and pollution control. It also grants licenses and permits for activities such as mining, forestry, and land use while ensuring strict regulations are followed. So we know that DENR makes sure that the country's natural resources are used properly and not wasted or destroyed. So the DENR's role in wildlife conservation, according to under Republic Act 9147 or the Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act, DENR is responsible for managing land-based wildlife, including amphibians, birds, and crocodiles, while the Department of Agriculture oversees marine life such as fish and aquatic plants. The Protected Areas and Wildlife Bureau under DENR works alongside the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources of the DA in order to regulate international trade in endangered species. This means that DENR takes care of animals on land, while the Department of Agriculture focuses on marine species, and they work together in order to protect those endangered animals and prevent illegal wildlife trade. So here are the key functions of the DENR. The first one is it advises the President on laws and policies related to natural resources management and pollution control, creates and enforces rules to protect forests, minerals, and other natural resources, manages land classification, surveys, and public land titling, ensures the sustainable use of natural resources by working with businesses and private sectors. It also conducts geological and environmental research to assess natural resources, oversees the protection of wildlife and biodiversity, including endangered species. Also, it implements environmental protection laws in order to control pollution in water, air, and land. And lastly, it encourages public participation in conserving natural resources. So the DENR does more than just protecting the environment. It also studies how the country resources should be used, helps businesses follow environmental laws, and also ensures that natural resources are not overused or destroyed. So let's go to the Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE. So DOLE plays a vital role in protecting and promoting the welfare of the country's workers. It oversees labor laws and regulation in order to ensure fair and just treatment for both employees and employers. One of its key functions is enforcing social and labor laws to safeguard workers' rights and regulate relationships between workers and employers. It also develops policies and programs to improve the workforce skills and allocate labor effectively. So these programs help in training workers, ensuring that the nation has a skilled labor force. So DOLE also looks after the interest of Filipino workers, both locally and abroad. It also ensures that workers get fair terms and conditions of employment, providing services such as welfare and protection to help workers to achieve better social, intellectual, and material improvements. It also regulates that the employment of foreign workers, making sure that they have proper permits and do not take jobs from local workers without following the laws. So in simple terms, DOLE protects workers, ensures fair wages, and helps businesses follow labor laws. So the department is also involved in recommending wage adjustment in order to help create a fair and sustainable wage system, ensuring that wages are in line with the country's economic goals. DOLE also ensures that the working environment is safe, decent, and humane for all workers, with a particular focus on women and young workers who may be more vulnerable. The DOLE also maintain good relationships between workers and employers is another important role of DOLE. It supports peaceful negotiations and promotes collective bargaining as the foundation of labor relations. In cases of disputes, DOLE provides mechanisms for resolving issues through conciliation, mediation, and arbitration, ensuring that both parties can reach fair and timely solutions. So we know that DOLE plays a big role in preventing labor conflicts and making sure that workers get fair pay and working conditions. If employers and employees have issues, DOLE will help solve them peacefully. So let's go for the Department of Public Works and Highways, or the DPWH. The DPWH is a government agency responsible for building and maintaining the country's infrastructure. Its primary role is to ensure that public works, such as roads, bridges, and flood control systems, are designed, constructed, and maintained safely and efficiently. The DPWH focuses on improving national highways, water resources systems, and other public works that are important for the country's development. So in simple terms, DPWH will build and repairs the roads, bridges, and flood control system in order to keep transportation smooth and protect communities from disasters. So this agency also works on projects that ensure public safety and the highest standard in construction. The DPWH is involved in various tasks like planning, designing, and maintaining roads that connect different destinations or regions, making it easier for people to travel access important services, including tourist destinations. Their work is crucial not only for daily transportation but also for supporting the country's tourism, economy, and overall development. And this makes the DPWH work vital for connecting communities and supporting national progress. So the DPWH work is really important because good roads and bridges allow people to travel easily, support businesses, and connect communities across the country. The next one is the Department of Transportation and Communication, or the DOTC. So the DOTC was a government agency in the Philippines that is responsible for overseeing the country's transportation and communication systems. It ensured that roads, railways, and air travel and maritime transport were safe, efficient, and well coordinated. So the agency also regulated public transportation such as buses and trains to improve mobility for Filipinos. In addition to transportation, the DOTC managed communication services including telephone networks, the internet, the postal services, ensuring the accessibility and reliability for the public. In 2016, the DOTC was reorganized into two separate agencies to improve efficiency. And this is the Department of Transportation, or the DOTR, took over responsibilities related to land, air, and sea travel, focusing on infrastructure development and public transport system. Meanwhile, the Department of Information and Communication Technology, or the DICT, was established to handle telecommunications, internet services, and digital security. And this restructuring allowed each sector to receive better focused attention, leading to improvements in both transportation and communication services in the country. This separation helps the government focus more on each sector and leading to better services for transportation and communication. So here are the agencies of the DOTC. So the first one is the Land Transportation Office, or the LTO. LTO is responsible for regulating motor vehicles and their operations. It ensures that only roadworthy vehicles are allowed to operate that drivers meet the necessary qualifications. The LTO handles the registration of vehicles, issuance of driver's license, and enforcement of traffic laws. It also plays a role in road safety programs and vehicle inspection to reduce accidents and improve transportation efficiency. So LTO really ensures that all vehicles and drivers follow the law, helping to prevent accidents and traffic violations. The next one is the Land Transportation and Franchising and Regulatory Board, or the LTFRB. LTFRB manages the franchising of public utility vehicles, or the PUVs, such as buses, jeepneys, taxis, and ride-hailing services. It ensures that operators comply with safety regulations and that these services are adequate for public demand. The LTFRB has the power to approve, suspend, and cancel permits for public land transportation services. It also determines fare rates and policies in order to balance affordability for commuters and sustainability for operators. So the LTFRB controls public transportation services in order to ensure that they are safe, efficient, and fairly priced for the passengers. The next one is the Maritime Industry Authority, or MARINA. This MARINA oversees the development, promotion, and regulation of the maritime industry in the Philippines. It also ensures the safety of sea travel by inspecting vessels, issuing permits, and enforcing maritime laws. Marina also manages the licensing of seafarers and aims to modernize the shipping industry by promoting the use of efficient and safe ships. Originally under the office of the President, Marina was later placed under the DOTC for better coordination with other transport agencies. So this Marina makes sure that sea travel is safe and that Filipino seafarers meet global standards. The next one is the Air Transportation Office, or the ATO. This is responsible for regulating civil aviation operations in the country. It ensures that all aircraft operating in the Philippines are properly inspected, registered, and maintained according to international aviation standards. The ATO also manages airports, air navigation systems, and air traffic control to ensure the safety of passengers and crew. It enforces aviation rules and regulations to comply with global standards and improve air transport services. So this ATO makes sure that airplanes, airports, and flight operations are safe and efficient for passengers and cargo transport. The next one is the Civil Aeronautics Board. This one will oversee the economic aspects of air transportation, such as ticket pricing, airline competition, and flight routes. It has control over air carriers, their assets, and their operating permits. CAB is responsible for issuing, modifying, suspending, or revoking certificates of public convenience and necessity, which are required for airlines to operate legally. This agency ensures that the aviation industry remains competitive and accessible while maintaining fair regulations for airlines and passengers. So the CAB makes sure airlines operate fairly and that passengers get safe and reasonably priced flights. So the next one is the Light Rail Transit Authority, or the LRTA. This is in charge of the construction, operation, and maintenance of light rail transit systems such as LRT-1 and LRT-2 in Metro Manila. This agency aims to provide a fast, reliable, and affordable transportation system for commuters. It also ensures that trains are safe and well-maintained and that the railway infrastructure meets public transportation demands. So this LRTA provides efficient train services in Metro Manila, reducing travel time and traffic congestion. So the next one is the Metro Hotel Rail Transit Corporation, or the MRTC. This is a private company that build and owns MRT3 under the Build, Operate, and Transfer, or the BOT law. The government allowed MRTC to manage and operate the railway system for 25 years, after which ownership will be transferred to the Philippine government. In addition to operating the MRT system, the MRTC is also allowed to develop commercial spaces and advertising opportunities within the MRT stations in order to generate revenue. So this MRTC built and operates MRT3 system, but after 25 years, the government will take full control. So the next one is the Philippine National Railway, or the PNR. This PNR operates the country's railway system and is responsible for expanding rail transport across different regions. The PNR provides affordable long-distance train services for passengers and cargo, helping to ease road congestion. Unlike other transportation agencies, the PNR operates independently from the Public Service Commissions and focuses on improving railway infrastructure for nationwide connectivity. So this PNR helps people and goods move across different parts of the country using trains, reducing traffic on the roads. So let's go to the Department of Trade and Industry. So the Department of Trade and Industry is the Philippine government agency that is responsible for promoting trade, industry, and investments. It plays a crucial role in boosting the country's economic growth by supporting businesses, ensuring fair competition, and creating policies that encourage both local and foreign investments. Under Executive Order 133, DTI acts as the main coordinating body for trade and industry, aiming to generate jobs and improve the quality of life for Filipinos. So this DTI helps businesses succeed, protects consumers, and ensures fair competition to create more jobs and improve the economy. So here are the main functions of the DTI. The first one is encouraging industrial growth DTI. So this creates strategies to help industries grow by providing support to businesses, ensuring that they can compete both locally and internationally. This includes giving financial assistance, technical training, and business opportunities. We also have the promoting fair trade and competition, developing trade policies, and also DTI's function can also balancing domestic and export markets, regulating imports and exports, and lastly improving products distribution. And this means that to keep products flowing from producers and consumers efficiently, DTI supports centralized buying, terminal markets, and large-scale distribution system. And this prevents shortages and ensures fair pricing across different regions. So the next one is the Board of Investments, or the BOI. The Board of Investments is a government agency in the Philippines that plays a vital role in attracting and regulating investments in the country. It operates under the Omnibus Investment Code of 1987 and is responsible for promoting industries that contribute to economic growth. By offering incentives and setting investment policies, the BOI ensures that businesses operate efficiently while benefiting the economy. So here are the main functions of the Board of Investments. We have creating the investment priorities plan, approving and regulating investment, resolving investment disputes, recommending foreign worker permits, monitoring and evaluating investment, encouraging public ownership of companies, developing industry programs, coordinating ASEAN and international investments, extending investment incentives, regulating foreign investments, providing investment information and reports, simplifying business processes. And this Board of Investments ensures that investments brings jobs, economic growth, and better business opportunities to the country. And the next one is the Philippine Economic Zone Authority, or PEZA. The Philippine Economic Zone Authority is a government agency created by the Republic Act No. 7916 on July 25, 1994. It aimed at boosting the country's economy by establishing and managing special economic zones across the Philippines. PEZA is under the supervision of the Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, and is tasked with attracting both local and foreign investments. Its primary goal is to transform certain areas into highly developed centers for industrial, commercial, financial, tourism, and investment activities. By focusing on creating these zones, PEZA promotes a more efficient business environment, offering modern infrastructure and a skilled labor force to companies operating in these areas. So here are the key objectives of the Philippine Economic Zone Authority. It includes managing and developing economic zones, encouraging investments, creating job opportunities, promoting technology and skills development, and establishing the linkages among industries. And also we have here the key functions of PEZA. So PEZA has several important roles in ensuring the success of economic zones, and these are the managing and supervising eco-zones, developing infrastructure, coordinating with local government units, or LGUs, promoting investments, and also ensuring the business-friendly environment. So this Philippine Economic Zone Authority will help attract businesses, create jobs, and improve economy through well-managed industrial zones. So the next one is the Department of Foreign Affairs, or the DFA. So DFA plays a crucial role in managing the Philippines' relationship with the rest of the world. It is responsible for formulating and executing the country's foreign policy, which involves everything from diplomatic relations to international agreements, trade partnerships, security alliances, and humanitarian assistance. So the agency also ensures that the Philippines is represented globally and that its national interests are safeguarded in an increasingly interconnected world. In everyday terms, the DFA is like the Philippines' ambassador to the world. It helps secure agreements that boost trade, defends the rights of citizens abroad, and works with international organizations to solve global challenges like terrorism, climate change, and economic inequality. Whether by negotiating treaties or hosting international summits, the DFA ensures that the voice of the Philippines is heard and respected wherever important decisions are made. So this DFA acts as the voice of the Philippines in the world, protecting Filipinos abroad and securing international agreements. The DFA also ensures that the Philippines is well represented internationally and that Filipinos worldwide receive support. So the next one is the Department of Interior and Local Government, or the DILG. DILG is responsible for ensuring local governments operate effectively and in compliance with laws. It assists the President in overseeing local governments and advising on policies related to the public safety, law enforcement, and local autonomy. One of its primary functions is to provide plans and programs to promote peace and order and enhance local government capacities. The ILG also helps coordinate efforts between citizens, local leaders, and government departments to ensure the efficient delivery of services, especially in times of disasters. It manages law enforcement agencies like the Philippine National Police and oversees community empowerment through various policies and programs. So the DILG also operates under the Republic Act 6795, which established the department organizational structure, and it also includes key bureaus such as the Philippine National Police, Bureau of Fire Protection, and Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, each playing vital roles in local government supervision and safety. So this DILG makes sure that local government function properly, police maintain safety, and emergency services are ready for disasters. So let's go to the Bureau of Food and Drugs, or the BFAD. The Bureau of Food and Drugs is an agency under the Department of Health tasked with ensuring the safety and quality of food, drugs, medical devices, cosmetics, and household products in the Philippines. The BFAD handles the registration and regulation of these products to protect consumers. Before selling or distributing, establishments must secure a license to operate from BFAD, and products should display the BFAD product registration number on their labels. The BFAD also monitors the legal handling of goods, preventing the sale of substandard or unsafe items. Consumers are encouraged to verify the legitimacy of establishments by checking their licenses and asking for receipts with detailed information like the business name and tax number. And this ensures that the products they purchase meet safety standards and come from unauthorized sources. So this BFAD protects consumers by making sure food, medicine, and other products meet safety standards. And the next one is the Bureau of Customs. The Bureau of Customs is responsible for collecting tariffs, preventing smuggling, and enforcing custom laws. Its duties include controlling imports and exports, managing foreign trade, and overseeing goods and entering the country. The Bureau of Customs plays a critical role in maintaining border security by ensuring goods and entering the Philippines comply with trade and regulations and laws. The Bureau also manages customs houses and warehouses where goods are processed before entering the market. Importantly, the BOC has the power to seize goods and vessels violating custom laws, even beyond Philippine waters. The Bureau also works with the government entities like the Philippine Ports Authority, ensuring the smooth operation of trade and protecting national revenue. So this Bureau of Customs also ensures fair trade, prevents illegal goods from entering the country, and protects national revenue. And the next one is the Philippine Coast Guard, or the PCG. The Philippine Coast Guard is tasked with enforcing maritime laws, ensuring the safety of life and property at sea, and protecting the Philippines' maritime borders. This is created under Republic Act No. 5173. The PCG's main functions include conducting rescue operations, maintaining navigation aids, and overseeing the safety of commercial vessels operating within Philippine waters. The Coast Guard works also to prevent accidents, protect natural resources, and secure the country's water from illegal activities such as piracy and smuggling. So this Philippine Coast Guard keeps us seas safe, protects marine life, and helps in emergency rescue operations. And the next one is the Professional Regulatory Board for Custom Brokers. In Republic Act No. 9280, it regulates the practice of customs brokering in the Philippines. The Professional Regulatory Board for Custom Brokers was created in order to ensure that individuals practicing these professions are well trained and knowledgeable in custom laws and procedures. The board oversees the examination and registration of custom brokers and regulates their professional conduct. This ensures that customs brokers contribute to the efficient processing of goods through customs and uphold the integrity of the trade system. And this board makes sure that custom brokers are qualified and help in the smooth movement of goods. So let's go to the Nayong Filipino Foundation. The Nayong Filipino Foundation is established under Presidential Decree No. 37 in 1972. It promotes research and development in social sciences and humanities. The foundation is a non-profit organization aimed at benefiting the public by supporting social initiatives. It is governed by the Board of Trustees, which advises on policies, and an executive secretary who manages day-to-day operations. The foundation work is focused on enriching Filipino culture and society, contributing to the nation's development through various projects. So this Nayong Filipino Foundation helps to preserve the rich cultural identity of the Philippines through education and research. Let's go to the last one, the Tourism Enterprise Zone Authority, or the TEZA. The Tourism Enterprise Zone Authority was established to manage tourism development in the Philippines. Under the Tourism Act, TEZA oversees tourism-related projects and initiatives that aim to boost the country's tourism industry. And this includes the creation of tourism zones that attract and boost the country's tourism industry, investment, and enhance the country's global tourism standing. TEZA is also tasked with ensuring that the growth of tourism supports both economic development and the preservation of local culture, and these agencies play significant roles in the development and regulations of various sectors, contributing to national growth, security, and the welfare of the citizens. This TEZA ensures that tourism grows while protecting the country's cultural and natural heritage. So for the conclusion of this chapter, the public sector's involvement in tourism is vital to ensuring the industry's growth, sustainability, and global competitiveness. So for this conclusion of this chapter, in conclusion, the public sector's involvement in tourism is vital to ensuring the industry's growth, sustainability, and global competitiveness. Through coordinated efforts across various government entities, the sector benefits from well-regulated policies, infrastructure development, and cultural preservation. And with this collaboration, fosters a thriving tourism environment that attracts visitors, support local economies, create jobs, and enhances the country's global standing. The collective role of the public sector is integral in shaping a dynamic and sustainable tourism industry that can continue to flourish for years to come. Because we know that a well-managed public sector helps the tourism industry grow, benefiting the country's economy and cultural heritage. And that's all for my report about the chapter 6 that tackles about the tourism public sector. And again, I'm Hannah Beth Alperacho. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.